Hi guys, happy Saturday. Alright, so I had an email last night, and I'm actually going to read it to you, because I know exactly who you are, and if you continue, I will turn you into the police, again. So, I don't appreciate you impersonating or trying to act like you are somebody else, if I can actually get it, I spammed you big time. Alright. You're not, yes, you're nowhere in here. Alright, I don't even know how to get to my spam in here. Let's see. Send draft spam, there we go. Alright. Sue. Okay, don't try to impersonate somebody that I know, because it's not going to work. You're not going to succeed in anything that you do. Obviously, when it's somebody with a status as high as she's got, it's just not going to work. So, Susan, my Susan, I will get a hold of you. We've got to talk again. Because somebody's trying to impersonate you to get to me, and it's not working. So, and then people, if you are on Twitter and you're talking to people or saying that I talk to you, I don't talk through direct message through Twitter. Everything I do is public, it's open, I'm an open book. So nothing on Twitter. I don't talk about anybody behind their back on Twitter. I don't do that. If I do talk about you, it's going to be in public, and I'm going to, direct it to you. Everybody knows that's how I am. So, very truthful, very honest. Even if it's not honest or the truth, I'm still going to call you out. So, Sue Owl. Yeah. Alright, so Jen Gemini, I need you to get a hold of me. We need to talk. There is... Yeah, this is just ridiculous. So, last night I thought it was Susan. My Susan. It's not. So, our Anubis, which is Heather. So, Heather, you need to stop. You need to stop. Don't impersonate people. For one, it's a felony. That's identity theft if you take it further. So, Anubis, the dog my Zozo story is legit. None to do with the writer, sorry, book fail. You helped with my channel but couldn't pursue you. And Jen, long hair, green eyes, mystic mist. Here is I hate to see what's going on. Thought I'd bring some light. Whatever you're doing, whatever you're thinking, cut it in half and don't say anything at all. So if any of you get any from Sue, S-U-E, spam it, because it is obviously the one girl that, made some marks on herself, some scratches. You can easily take your fingernails and just gently do that, and it'll look like you're cutting yourself. So if you continue to do that, I will have to report you to the police again and to your own state police, because it's not, I'm not going to deal with that. I don't need you. That's specific. I don't need you. So I don't care if you think I have failed. If I would have failed, I wouldn't still be doing this. If I would have failed, my books would not be in Barnes & Noble. If I would have failed, I wouldn't be pretty content with myself. So, why? Why do these stalkers have to come back? It's stupid. It's ridiculous, and I'm not going to put up with it. So, I will call the cops. Again, I will call my police, and I will call your state police. and you are unstable. We all know that. Everybody on this channel has experienced that from you multiple times, and you have contacted multiple people to get to me, but you're not going to get to me anymore, so it's over. So, and then the people on Patreon, I'm sorry, but if you're going to be a patron, so you can get, the Patreon only posts, and then cut it out, and then you're gonna, delete yourself, you're ruining it for other people. So you're ruining the whole Patreon experience for other people. So grow up. I think a lot of you need to grow up. Especially you, Heather. I feel sorry for you. I feel very sorry for you. So, alright. I think that's it. So yeah. Yeah, that's a real nice message. Oh yeah, you failed. Did I? I don't think so. Alright. So, more urban legends. I've been researching some more, and I found really interesting ones. So this is strange. So, alright, number 10. We have the choking Doberman. The choking Doberman. Oh, and it's so cute. Why would you want to choke a Doberman? I don't. So, alright, here we go. So this urban legend comes from Sydney, Australia. Ooh, I love Australia. So, it features a bizarre story regarding a choking Doberman dog. Alright, so one night, a couple who had been out for a few too many drinks came home to find their dog choking in the living room. The man panicked and fainted. Yeah, I would too. If my dog was choking, no, I would give it CPR. But the woman decided to call her old friend a vet and arranged to drop the dog off at the vet clinic. So, after dropping off the dog, she decides to go home and get her husband into bed. So it takes her a while to do this, and in the meantime the phone rings. The vet screams hysterically that they need to get out of the house immediately. So without any clues, ooh, that's kind of creepy, as to what's going on, the couple leave the house as quickly as possible. That's actually really kind of creepy. Ooh, Australia, I love you. Okay, as they come down the stairs, several policemen run up to meet them. When the woman asks what the problem is, a policeman gently tells her that the dog was choking on a man's finger. A finger. A burglar must still be present in their home. Soon enough, the former owner of the finger is found unconscious in the bedroom. I think I've heard that one in various forms. Ooh, I would like to keep all my fingers. At least the dog did its job. So, I love Dobermans. They're so sweet. And protective. Very protective dogs. Okay, we have the Suicidal Boyfriend. Alright, now this is weird. So, this story, also known as The Boyfriend's Death, has many different variations and has been interpreted as a more generalized warning not to stray too far from the safety of home. So our versions takes us to Paris in the 1960s. Paris. A girl and her boyfriend, both of them college students, are making out in his car. So they have parked near the forest of Rambouillet. Ooh, I can actually say that. So that they won't be seen by anyone. So when they're finished, the boy gets out to take some fresh air and smoke a cigarette, and the girl waits for him to wait, and the girl waits for him in the safety of the car. After waiting for 5 minutes, the girl gets out of the car to look for her boyfriend. Suddenly, she sees a man in the shadows. Frightened, she gets back into the car to drive away, but as she does this, she hears a very faint squeak, followed by more squeaks. This continues for a few seconds until the girl decides that she has no choice but to drive off. She hits the gas as hard as possible, but can't go anywhere. Someone has tied a rope from the bumper of the car to a nearby tree. That would be very unsettling. So finally the girl slams on the gas again. and then hears a loud scream. She gets out of the car and realizes that her boyfriend is hanging from the tree. It turns out that the squeaky noises were made by his shoes scraping across the top of the car. I don't know why that one always gives me goosebumps. Now we have the slit-mouthed woman. So this is a Japanese Chinese legend, and I love the Japanese urban legends. They are incredibly amazing. So there's a legend in Japan and China about a girl called Kosaki Ono, also known as the slit-mouthed woman. Some say that she was a Sumari's wife. So one day she cheated on her husband with a younger and better-looking man. When the husband returned, he discovered her betrayal, enraged and furious. He took his sword and slit her mouth, ear to ear. Some say that the woman was cursed to never die, and still wanders the world so that people can see the horrible scar on her face and pity her. Some people claim that others have actually seen a very beautiful young lady who asks them, "Am I pretty?" That's really odd. So, and once they replied positively, she ripped off the surgical mask and showed them her horrible wound. She then asked the same question, and anyone who no longer found her pretty was met by tragic death from her hands. So there are two morals to this story. A compliment won't cost you a thing, and honesty isn't necessarily the best policy. So that, yeah. That would be horrifying to see a smile from ear to ear. I don't know, kind of cool. So now we have Crybaby Bridge, and this is another rendition of Crybaby Bridge. So according to this legend, a couple was driving home from the church with their baby, arguing about something. The rain was falling in torrents, and they soon found themselves having to drive over a flooded bridge. As they started across, the water was deeper than they first thought. Yeah. So they got stuck and decided to get out of the car to help. So the woman stayed behind, but left the car for reasons we can only guess at. So while her back was turned to the car, she heard her baby crying out loudly. She returned to the vehicle only to find that her baby had been carried away by the water. Ooh, that'd be tragic. I wonder if this is actually if there's any truth in this. So according to the same legend, if you go to that same bridge, you can still hear the baby crying. The bridge's location is conveniently unknown. There's so many renditions of that story everywhere, so obviously I think every state has a Crybaby Bridge. I really think so. Alright, so now we have Zenfreda's alien abduction. The Men in Black. Okay, here we go. I have still nothing to do with the Men in Black. They won't come, they won't tell me to stop doing something, and I really want them to. So, okay, what the hell kind of name is that? Fortunato Zenfretta's abduction story has become one of the most famous urban legends in Italy. Okay, in Italy over the past few decades. So, okay, this is really, really neat. I like this. This is from Italy, part of Italy. So, alright, according to his own accounts, originally made under hypnosis. Ooh, so we're getting into the hypnosis. So Zenfretta was abducted by aliens called Dragos from the planet Titonia, and experienced repeated abductions by the same group over a period of several years, from 1978 to 1981. Wow, that's not a lot. I mean, I guess, dreams are, abductions seem to take years, I guess. Alright, so as frightening, or as creepy as this case might sound, it seems like we can paint a more optimistic picture of the intentions of these visitors when we consider the words of Zenfretta during one hypnosis section. So here is Zenfretta's little excerpt. So, I know you are trying to come more frequently. No, you can't come to Earth. People get scared if they look at you. You can't make friendship. Please go. Okay, so that's his under hypnosis blurbs. So, Zanfressa has probably given more details about his alien abduction than any other person in history. His detailed accounts may cause even the most vehement skeptic to pause for thought. So, to this day, the Zanfressa case remains one of the most curious and fascinating X-Files around the world. I like that. I really like that. Especially since it's Italy. I love Italy. I am Italian, very Italian. Alright, now we have Scotland. So, we have the White Death. Alright, so this is a story about a little girl in Scotland. Ooh, she has the same eyes as I do. What gorgeous eyes you have, my love. We kind of match. That could be my child if she had white hair. Alright, so. Okay, so this is a story about a little girl in Scotland who hated life so much that she wanted to destroy every last trace of herself. That's really, really sad. That's really, really sad. So, she finally decided to commit suicide. And shortly afterwards, her family found out what she had done. In a horrible twist, every member of her family died only a few days later, too. Their limbs torn apart. Okay, so when somebody commits suicide, the family, it plants a seed with the family. I know personal experience. It plants a seed. And that seed grows. And grows, and grows, and grows. It doesn't get any better. You just learn to cope with it. But you can die from a broken heart. Literally. So, take a look at, Princess Leia. What was her name? Debbie Reynolds' daughter. Debbie Reynolds died, what, a couple days after she died? From a literal broken heart. Alright, I don't know about the, the appendages being ripped off, but who knows? This is in Scotland. So, alright. So the legend says that when you learn about the White Death, the girl's ghost might come and find you and knock repeatedly on your door. So each knock gets louder, till you open the door and she kills you, for fear that you'll tell someone else of her existence. Why would you tell anybody if you saw her at your door? So her main goal is to prevent anyone from knowing about her. Like most urban legends, the story is probably nothing more than the wild imagination of a modern Aesop. But all the same, it's always good practice to find out who's standing behind the door. Ooh, dang it, now I know about the White Death. Shit. Anyways. Won't happen. Won't happen. Alright, the Black Volga. Ooh, that's a neat car. Alright, so, a Black Volga automobile was supposedly spotted frequently in the streets of Warsaw. Where? Back in the 1960s, packed with kidnappers, who were bent on snatching children according to the legend, and helped along by Western propaganda, no doubt. High-ranking Soviet officials drove the Black Volga in Warsaw, Moscow, during the mid-1930s, so kidnapping young, pretty girls for the sexual pleasure of the highest-ranking Soviet comrades. So another version of this legend tells us that the vampires, mysterious priests, Satanists, body benders, and even Satan himself drove the Black Volga car. Wow, okay. That's a little far-fetched. According to different versions, I thought this said chicken. Children were kidnapped with the intention of using their blood as a cure for rich leukemia sufferers around the world. Of course, none of these versions were ever found to be true. Ooh. That's a little loud. A little too much. So we have the Greek soldier. So this lesser-known legend tells us of a Greek soldier who, after World War II, was returning home to marry his fiancée. Unfortunately for him, he was captured by fellow Greeks, who had hostile political beliefs, tortured for 5 weeks, and finally eventually murdered. In the early 1950s, mainly in North and Central Greece, there were stories about a very attractive Greek soldier in a uniform who appeared and disappeared overnight, seducing beautiful widows and virgin girls with the sole purpose of impregnating them. Impregnation by a ghost. That's something for Zach Bagans. So 5 weeks after the babies were born, the man would disappear for good, leaving a letter on the table explaining that he had returned from the dead merely to spread his seed, so that his sons might avenge his murder. That's really odd. I mean, that's one of the more morbid pieces I've read. The alien abduction is what's sticking. So now we have Eliza Day. Ooh, this is different. This is very different. All right. So in medieval Europe, there apparently lived a young woman named Eliza Day, whose beauty was like that of wild roses that grew down the river, all bloody and red. One day, a young man came into town and instantly fell in love with Eliza. So they dated for 3 years. On the first day, he visited her at her house. On the second day, he brought her a single red rose and asked her to meet him where the wild roses grow. Ooh, that sounds beautiful. On the third day, he took her down to the river, where he killed her. Romantic. The horrible man supposedly waited till her back was turned, then took a rock in his fist, whispering, "All beauty must die." And with one swift blow, he killed her instantly. He placed a rose between her teeth and slid her body into the river. That's just morbid. That's very disgusting. Alright. Wow. That's really messed up. So some people claim to have seen her ghost wandering the riverside, blood running down the side of her head, a single rose in her hand. That's really sad. That's really sad. What a fucked up love story. That'd make for a very good film. Filmmakers. Alright, so now we have the last one. The Well to Hell. Nicely worded. I like that. Right, now this is pretty cool looking. So this is in Russia. Now I just wonder how real. I mean, people, we get to hear screams from hell. Real screams from hell. Well, supposed people that are doing digging and all that good stuff. So, alright, sometime in 1989, Russian scientists in Siberia drilled a borehole some 14.5 kilometers deep into the Earth's crust. The drill broke through into a cavity, and the scientists lowered some equipment to see what was down there. The temperature was more than 1,000 degrees Celsius. Whoa. That's a... yeah. But the real shocker was the sound recorded by their instruments. They only captured about 17 horrifying seconds of audio before the microphone melted. Well, obviously, I think anything would instantly melt going down such a really big hole. Alright, so, convinced that they'd heard the screams of the damned in hell, many of the scientists quit the job immediately, or so at least the story goes. So those who stayed were in for an even bigger shock later that night. A plume of luminous gas burst out of the borehole. The shape of a gigantic winged demon unfolded, and the words, "I have conquered," in Russian, were seared into the flames. Even though today it is considered to be a hoax, there are many who believe that this incident really happened. The Well to Hell urban legend remains alive to this day. Alright, so that's pretty neat. That's really neat. Huh. Ooh. Alright, so we have 10 houses of horror so disturbing that they were demolished. I really, really, really liked Well to Hell. That's a really cool story. Alright. Okay, Fred and Rose West's house. So, Fred and Rose West will go down in history as one of the world's worst serial killer duos. They lived at 25 Cromwell Street, Gloucester City, England, and what took place behind closed doors was so disturbing that the home has since been flattened. The sinister couple murdered at least 10 young women together between 1971 and 1987. Fred killed more beforehand. The victims were then dismembered and buried in either the cellar or the garden. The two even threatened their children that they too would end up under the patio. Oh, God. Alright, so, behind bars, Fred became depressed when Rose refused to reply to any of his letters and took his own life in prison. Initially, Rose denied any knowledge of the murders. But her web of lies soon fell apart, and she was sentenced to life in her involvement. 2 decades after the crimes, Gloucester City Council purchased the House of Horrors, as it had came to be called, knocked it down and turned the former site into a public walkway. Still, nobody will ever forget, in a hurry, what happened at 25 Cromwell Street. Ooh, Jeffrey Dahmer's apartment. That's pretty cool. Alright, so when police officers arrived at the apartment of Jeffrey Dahmer at the 900 block of North 25th Street of Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Oh. Wow, he's closer than I thought. They had no idea what they were about to uncover. One of the grisliest crime scenes of all time. Dahmer gained his nickname, the Milwaukee Cannibal, after he lured 17 men and boys back to his apartment from 1978 to 1991 with the intention to kill them. Police discovered 7 skulls, a human head, and 2 human hearts in the refrigerator. Ooh, as well as an entire torso in the freezer, among other remains. After the crazed cannibal was arrested, his neighbors wished to depart the building as quickly as possible. One explained, "It's been a living hell. It's like we're on a museum tour of a zoo, or a zoo tour. People drive by day and night. I haven't been eating, I haven't been sleeping. All I know is I want to get the hell out of here." The building was demolished in 1992, and the former site of the grisly murders has remained vacant ever since. That's really creepy. It's really creepy. Alright, so now we have Ariel Castro's house. So Ariel Castro kidnapped 3 female victims on separate occasions between 2002 and 2004, when they were aged 14, 16, and 20 years old. He then held them captive at his home in Cleveland, Ohio. Oh wow. The young girls who grew into womanhood during their decade of hell were kept in darkness, surrounded by boarded windows, and with only a small hole providing any circulation. Ugh. Castro repeatedly abused them and even fathered a daughter with one of his victims. Ew. She gave birth in a small inflatable swimming pool. In 2013, one of the brave victims was able to escape when Castro failed to secure the big inside door. And she screamed a cry of help that alerted the neighbors. Castro was arrested that same evening, but he only lived out 1 month of his life sentence before he hanged himself with a bedsheet in prison. It just took 1 hour and 20 minutes for his former home to be demolished as spectators cheered from the street. Yeah, I would be cheering as well. Alright, the Petite family home. Ooh. It's a pretty name. Okay, so the Petite family home invasion is so disturbing that it became one of the most widely publicized crimes in the state of Connecticut's history. Wow. So in 2007, Dr. William Petite, his wife Jennifer Hawk Petite, and their young daughters, 17-year-old Haley and 11-year-old Michela suffered a brutal random attack at their family home in Cheshire. Steve Hayes and his accomplice Joshua something broke into the home, first striking William Petit with a baseball bat, and then binding other family members and forcing Jennifer to go with them to the bank and withdraw cash. That's odd. It's very odd. So she was able to alert the bank teller of the situation, but the Petit family were failed by the responding police officers. So as the mother and daughters were brutalized and murdered inside, the police still did not answer, instead focusing on setting up a perimeter around the home. That's sad. William Petit was able to escape as the perpetrators torched the house. The remainder of the family home was torn down, and the lot is now a memorial garden for the family. That's sad. Now this is really cool. This is like old stuff. Called the Bloody Benders House, and this house looks so awesome. I don't know why I like that, but I do. So, more than 140 years ago, not too long ago, one family committed such evil that they became known as the Bloody Benders. The Labette County, Kansas family considered of 4 people: John Bender, his wife Elvira, and their children John Jr. and Kate. Some sources claim that Kate was actually John Jr.'s common-law wife. From 1869 to 1872, the family would invite travelers into their home with the sole intention of smashing their skulls, cutting their throats, and stealing all of their possessions. You have to go to such extremes just to get possessions? Wow. Okay, so when the members of the community noticed the rise in missing persons traveling throughout the area, they called a meeting. A few days after the meeting, the Benders' family home was abandoned, and locals discovered a terrible odor coming from inside. After a proper investigation, the bodies of their 11 victims were uncovered. However, other missing persons cases could tie the bloodthirsty family to as many as 21 murders. The since demolished house is nowadays nothing more than a gravel road 2 hours southeast of Wichita. Ghost hunters will travel here just to soak up any sensation of its sinister history. Ooh, that's creepy. That's cool, but it's creepy. Alright, so now we have John Christie's house. So in London, 10 Rillington Place in Notting Hill is not the same house as it once was. In 1978, the place was rebuilt so that the grisly memories of the previous building could be long forgotten. In the 1940s and the early 1950s, serial killer John Christie hid the bodies of his victims around the house, including burying them in the garden, hiding them under the floorboards, or stuffing the corpses inside of the wall in the kitchen. Gross. In 1953, he was arrested, and it was discovered that young women had turned to him for help with unwanted pregnancies, were murdered. So it's believed more than 8 vulnerable victims lost their lives to the sinister Christie. Despite the rebuild, this might be a case where past evils haven't moved on so quick. The current owner confessed, "I think the place is cursed. I've had bad luck since I've been here. I've been here for 40 years. My health's gone. Everything's gone." Wow. That's sad. That's really, really sad. Interesting, but sad. Alright, Ted Bundy's house. Wow. Creepy. Creepy looking. It's graffitied. Like a clown. Alright, so Ted Bundy confessed to the murders of 30 young women and girls in 7 states between 1974 and 1978. However, the real victim count is believed to be much higher, as he buried the corpses in several secluded... Oh god, it looks like there's something in this picture. This is going to be the thumbnail. I'll show you guys this. It's really... Let me save it really quick. Alright. So on location, one location that became a killing spot for him was Emigration Canyon, Utah, the serial killer's former rooming house has since been destroyed, leaving only a scatter of bricks. However, the sinister cellar is still intact, which encourages ghost hunters and other true crime fans who are chasing a creepy experience. It does look like there's something in there, but it could be photoshopped. I'm leaning towards Photoshop. So, Bundy moved to Utah when he was accepted at the University of Utah Law School in August of 1974. It's believed he kidnapped and murdered 8 victims aged between 16 and 18 during his time in the state. The surrounding area of Bundy's cellar would have been the last place some of these women saw before their lives were stolen from them. That's really sad, too. It does look like there's something inside that cellar basement. Ooh. Alright, Anthony Sowell's house. So, 2 years after Anthony, the Cleveland Strangler, I always thought I was going to say Cleveland Steamer, Sowell murdered 11 women between 2007 and 2009. His former home on Imperial Avenue in the Mount Pleasant neighborhood of Cleveland was demolished. The property was where the bodies of the victims were found in various states of decomposition. Yeah. Yuck. So the hunt for more bodies left the home in crippling disrepair, and the city decided it was in the interest of public safety to tear it down for good. More than 50 people, including relatives of the victims, gathered outside the property to watch the demise of the death house. Oh, Ted Bundy tapes. That's creepy. Yes, I understand why now you should not watch it alone before you go to bed. Nightmares. Crazy nightmares. So, the victims' family members received the following hand-delivered letter from the city. Alright, in order to prevent actions that would be disrespectful to the memory of your loved one, your family, and our community, the demolition will be performed in such a way that no piece of property will remain. I like that. What a good way to get. Alright. Now we have Myra Hindley and Ian Brady's house. Myra Hindley and Ian Brady are considered by many as the real faces of evil. In the early to mid-1960s, they killed 5 children aged between 10 and 17. The bodies of 3 of the victims were discovered in graves on Saddleworth Moor, but the chilling couple never revealed where they placed the bodies of the other victims. Hindley died behind bars in 2002, and Brady in 2017. Oh wow, that's not really long ago. And they never allowed the relatives of the victims any peace, withholding information about the murders until the very end. So it's no surprise that the home the Moors murderers shared on Wardlebrook Avenue in Hattersley, Cheshire, England, the same place where the investigators found the body of their final victim, stayed empty for so many years after the couple was arrested. Nobody wanted to live in a property where 2 of the biggest monsters in Britain once slept peacefully at night. I don't know how they could sleep peacefully. The property was pulled down in 1987, and the site has remained empty ever since. Wow. That's insane. So, Dr. H.H. Holmes' Murder Castle. Now, this actually is inspired by American Horror Story. American Horror Story was inspired by this hotel. This actual hotel. So, in 1885, Dr. H.H. Holmes moved to Inglewood neighborhood of Chicago and built his now infamous Murder Castle. So the labyrinth-like structure featured many different rooms, all with equally sinister ways to die. Does anybody remember that? In American Horror Story Hotel? So, the rooms were soundproofed, and the many secret passages would leave his unsuspecting guests feeling disoriented. There were even trapdoors that would drop his victims into the basement where he could finish the job. Wow. And this actually, yeah, Ryan Murphy, you're great. You did follow with this. Alright, so Holmes murdered for financial gain. There we go. Often selling the skeletons of his victims to medical research facilities. The actual victim count has been guessed to be as high as 200, but Holmes only confessed to 27 murders. So he was hanged at the prison in Philadelphia in 1896. Now in 1938, the murder castle was finally torn down and a post office now stands in its place. Chicago tour guides still take groups to the former site of the murders, but the true horror that took place there can only really be imagined. There it is. That's what inspired American Horror Story Hotel. How utterly insane. Just literally insane. I don't know. Whoa, I don't want Siri on. Alright. Let's see who is yelling at me today. Alright. This is something weird. I mean, the murder castle. It's so gloomy outside. Now I'm kind of like spooked. Alright. Alright, Kate the Witch. Hi, my love. Alright, hello, lovely. Hi. Glad to see you making oils again. Momo is a ridiculous program controlled by someone who is trying to scare kids. They've hacked into YouTube Kids, trying to get kids to hurt themselves. Is that it? Really? That's stupid. I'm over that now. Alright. Priscilla Antonia. Hi. How are you? You're so pretty and so cute. Thank you. Aw. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Priscilla, you are so pretty. I wish I could hug you. Bring it in. Bring it in. I'm a hugger. Alright. Reverend Seymour Graves. Hi. Alright, I'm getting so old. In my day, the Momo was the Mississippi River region version of Bigfoot. I've heard that before. I've heard that. Also known as the Swamp Monster in The Night Stalker. He was called Pierre Malfait, the Boogeyman. So he was big, smelly, covered with rotten Spanish moss. I've heard that. Crazy. Crazy. Carol Grace. Ryan, can you put a link up? Can you put up the link again for where you order from, please? Thanks. Just go to shungitstore.com, and at the top of the page, right-hand corner, it'll show a list. You can click down, pick your country, and you'll be directed to the actual site for your country, for Ireland. Alright. Jen Zach, Reverend Seymour Graves, Marjorie, hi. Hi, my darling. Stephen Wold. Hello. Marjorie? Katie Louise. No, you cannot get possessed, and the spirit does not take control of you when you use the Ouija. Oh my gosh. Harvey Warhurst, hi. Hello. The News Fluffle. Hello. Hi. Ethan Bailey, I am so glad that you are freaked out because of what you watched. That's great. Kansas Ghost Stories. Hi. Shout out. How are you? How are you? A Box of Monsters. Vowel 1. Fuck off. Soleil Cardona. Hi. Christian Rowan. Hello. Shout out. I was like, wait, what? Shout out. Alright. Wicked Witch, my darling. Baby Gorilla. Hello. Matt Brooks. Margarita. Hi. Netheria Fade. Hello, Joseph McCarthy. Alright, guys. And Jasper. Hi. Hi, hubby. How are you? Alright, guys. So I did post, for patrons only, on my Patreon page, the fiery wall of protection, the oil, the recipe, and my ritual that I did. So it's very easy. It's very easy to use the oil. You can put it on doorknobs. You can put it on candles. Write your name on a candle. White candle for purity and cleanliness. And then really feel how good you're going to feel after said trouble is gone, in a way. And it's really working well. I mean, it's really awesome and incredible. It's so cool because you can put your own twist on this. You can do anything. I mean, literally anything. Creating your literal barrier. I mean, people go to, I googled pictures of this. People go to extremes, and it's beautiful. The art, I mean, it's pure artwork. Literally, it's like a barbed wire fence, just a small one, but it has that giant candle inside of it. Your candle to protect you. So that's a really good idea. So thank you guys. Barbed wire fence, razor blades stuck inside of it. I mean, you can just go crazy. Rose thorns, a circle of rose thorns. I think that'd be pretty neat. So, alright guys, everybody have a good Saturday. Try to anyway. And just remember that I don't talk to anybody through direct messages on anything. So yeah, that solves all of that, and I will definitely be in contact with the police if you pretend to be somebody that you're not. So and don't be shady to other people that are my patrons on Patreon, or I will block you, like I have had to do for quite a few people. So treat everybody with respect on here, on Patreon, wherever you are. So, alright guys, I love you with all my heart. All the way from Venus, all the way back down. And, woohoo, I'm failing. No, not actually, but alright guys, I do love you all. So I'm just poking fun at, her. So Heather, you better get your shit together, quick. So, alright guys, I love you all, and I'll see you guys tomorrow for Sunday with Satan. So, alright, thank you for all your comments, all your support, everything. And I will see you guys tomorrow.